Good evening. My question is around food security and land reform. Now, I'm not sure whether it's a question for Dean or for Chris, but you haven't touched at all on that, and I can tell you that land reform is failing in this province.
5 questions at a time. I think we've got some roving mice and some of our staff are out. Don't you want to just put up your hand? There are a lot of people, so we'll try and do 2 rounds if we can. If we can make it short and ask a question, that'll be great. And just say your name as well, so we know who we're speaking to. So who's up? Do you want to put your hands up? Right. Okay, you can give one to Jill there. Then to this gentleman over here, number 2, number 3 over there. Is there anyone on the side? This lady over here, number 4. Okay, and there's a gentleman at the back there, number 5. All right, let's go like that. Jill?
Thanks very much. And I hope this isn't a very basic question, but I've been spending a lot of time in retirement complexes collecting special votes, and I'm unable to answer this question myself. What do we actually look for on each of the 3 ballots that we get? On the first one, I understand, we look for the DA party. And then you could just take it from there.
All right. The gentleman over here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, South Africa has a serious...
Sorry, just your name?
Sorry, Richard Kluwer.
Richard.
South Africa has a serious debt problem. The net effect is we are paying the highest interest rates in the world, and that is a hidden tax that puts us in equal line with the Scandinavian countries, which get free education and free practically everything else in return. We get nothing. Can you tell me briefly what the DA would do to get us out of that mess? Thank you.
Gentleman over here. I'm happy to answer that.
Thank you. My name is Giles Bartlett. The speaker mentioned that Howick's run by the DA. What I want to know is how many pit toilets in Howick have been closed and changed into a proper sewage system, please.
Great question. To the lady in the blue here. I'm hoping that's a DA blue that she's wearing. Just here, Chris. Don't you just want to come so we can just see you? And so Chris can see you?
Okay, so I'm Megan. So as a first-time voter and someone who's the upcoming generation, would you recommend using social media as a way to put our opinions and our suggestions for the DA to win?
Awesome. Great. That's a great question. Social media. The gentleman in the blue there, I think that's... Is it light blue or dark? I can't really see from here. He's back there, Chris.
Thanks very much. My name's Chris Fenimore. I've been in the water and sanitation game for about 42 years. I'm going to vote DA, no doubt about that. And I'm going to encourage other people to vote DA. But one issue is, when it comes to politics, is the sanitation side of things. It gets neglected. And I hate to say it, the DA is just as bad as every other party when it comes to that. What is the DA going to do to sort out the sewage in Howick, in Pietermaritzburg, in Durban, in Gauteng, in Cape Town, Stellenbosch? I believe you're being prosecuted in Stellenbosch for polluting the rivers in that area. I'm not getting at the DA, everybody does it, but I'd just like to know what you're going to do about it.
All right, thank you. Chris, do you want to answer the questions that you can, and I'll take the
Dean has asked to take the national ones, so I'm happy to hand those to him as well. Jill, DA. That's simple as that. So you'll see the same thing on all 3 ballots. No, Democratic Alliance. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, you'll get 3 ballot papers this election. You used to get 2. It was the national and the provincial. You'll get another one called the regional, which is the one that they established for independence. There's only one independent in KZN. I'm not going to go there. But on all three of those ballots, you'll vote DA, 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 if that's your party of choice, which I hope it is since you've been here tonight. The national ballot remains the same. The provincial ballot remains the same. The national one will have the independents listed there and the political parties. There's only one independent in KZN. And he's a comedian, literally. Very funny character. Mr. Bartlett. So Mgeni is not responsible for water and sanitation in our municipality. We are a much smaller entity than eThekwini. So we look after electricity, roads, refuse collection, etc. So I want to use an example of what we've done despite not being the competent authority of water and sanitation. So we're it's run by the district municipality. We're a rural municipality. But what we've done is that we've gone to communities who don't have water, who are currently drinking out of rivers with animals, or have been, literally you go to the top of Howick Falls and there's people washing their clothes there. So what we've done is we've drilled 6 boreholes in different places for communities. And as we speak right now, under construction at the Shia Bazali informal settlement, which is the one that I was talking about by Howick Falls, we are building proper facilities for people to wash their clothes, for people to gather water, because the district municipality is failing. More than that, we've gone above and beyond. We've worked with the private sector and NPOs to start installing toilets, proper toilets, at some of our primary schools in the rural areas. So this is a government who's proactively doing things that is not even their mandate to do. So I hope I've answered your question. Megan, thank you for coming tonight. One of the questions that I usually get is why are no young people at the meeting? So thank you for being a young people at the meeting. I think we give her a round of applause for that. And the answer is absolutely. Get onto social media, get into your networks, be where young people are, to spread the message, and we're doing that as the DA. We are spending an incredible amount of resources online. Some of you would have seen the videos, some of you would have received things via WhatsApp or seen it in WhatsApp groups and on Instagram and on TikTok. We are spending a lot of money where young people are. Young people don't usually come to things like this, so we are going to them. And then Chris, sanitation, it's been neglected for a very long time in our country because it's something that you don't see. You smell it every now and again, but you don't see it. But I know I visited the city of Cape Town about a month and a half ago because I want to go and see for myself, as Helen Suzman said, whether or not the living conditions of people in Khayelitsha are as bad as the ANC say they are. And I can tell you, Umlazi, Inanda, Kwamashu, Khawini is terrible compared to Khayelitsha. But the point is that I also visited water and sanitation projects. Now, under Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis, who followed Patricia de Lille, he's investing an incredible amount, I gave you the one statistic, into things that we don't see. They are digging pipes underneath people's homes without having to disrupt what they're doing. It sounds profound that you can do that, but there's technologies that you can relay pipes under people's homes. I went into a tiny little building, sort of the size of the stage, and you just have a long ladder that goes down. You go and there's another room the size of this with pumps on pumps on pumps that is taking all the sewage from Langa. And it's immaculate, it's clean, and everything's working, and they've got new storage for some new pumps there in case there's breakages. So they're investing a lot of money into that, and it's the blueprint that we want to use. We've actually already gone to the city of Cape Town to say, when we take over Durban or when we put it under administration, can we please borrow your engineers to teach us how you have had to rapidly catch up with the development in those areas? I think those were the questions for me.
So on the national debt, the thing about debt is that it always becomes someone else's problem. It's never today's people's problem. And someone has to pay it back at some point. And the most depressing thing about our national debt crisis, and this is a crisis, is that we spend more on interest repayments than we do on education, on healthcare, on policing. So we're paying interest and we can't provide services. So the DA proposes 3 really important steps. First is we have to cut wasteful expenditure. You can't keep incurring expenditure in money that you don't generate. So we've got to cut wasteful expenditure. I was looking at some numbers today. Do you know one of the only line items in the police budget that rises higher than inflation is VIP protection? It's unsurprising seeing the blue lights going up and down the N3 and N2, but we spend, that's the only 25% is what the increase for VIP protection is. So we've got to start cutting wasteful expenditure in the first instance. The second thing is we've got to impose a debt ceiling. You can't just have an unlimited debt ceiling where the government can just incur as much debt as it wants. We have a bill called the Fiscal Responsibility Bill, which imposes a debt ceiling for government every year and is reviewed every year to ensure that government doesn't go and incur debt that it actually can't afford. And then lastly, we've got to grow the economy. We've got to grow the economy. We cannot keep growing at less than 1% per year. It's not sustainable, it's not possible, and it will never allow us to get into a position where we can bring the debt down, and instead of spending money on interest repayments, we can start spending it on service delivery. I just want to make one point on sanitation, and the gentleman at the back there sounds passionate. I didn't know I'd become passionate about sanitation until we started putting a court case together. And I mean, you'll be the first to hear it, and I'm sorry I'm going to say it now, but the DA officially has a trial date in the KwaZulu-Natal High Court in Pietermaritzburg where we are taking eThekwini to court because of their failures to uphold the National Environment Management Act, because of the sewage that is running into our rivers, running into the sea, running into people's homes, and we are going to get an order of the court against the municipality. That's something to be excited about. The only party to go to court and to defend the rights of residents of the city. The City of Cape Town is spending 43 billion rand over the next 3 years on wastewater and water treatment facilities. The Mayor of Cape Town, he's here next week actually, so if any of you want to come to Umhlanga and meet him, he'll be doing a meeting like this in Umhlanga. His team were showing me they are just building these wastewater treatment plants, not because they need them now, but because they need them for 2030 and 2035. They're future-proofing the City of Cape Town because it's going to double in size in the next 10 years. And the truth is, the DA can only fix what voters give us the power to do so. So, if voters want us to fix the sewage crisis and the water crisis across the country and across the city and across the province, there's only one thing, and that's to vote DA on all three ballots, Jill. All right, can I have the next question? I know Vincent's got someone up at the top there. He messaged me. I'm going to take 3 more hands then, and we're going to start moving towards the close. The gentleman at here, over there, one at the top, one at the back, and one there. That's 5. All right. Vincent, I've got you at the back there.
This is just a question about the current municipalities. Why are we having to use cash all the time? So when we go and pay our rates, or that's what I want to know. So the machine's always down. Is this a general government thing, or is this just purely ANC related?
I suspect I know.
And my name is Vivian.
I suspect I know where that cash goes. All right, it was the gentleman over here. Can I have a microphone at the front here, please? Yes. Mbali, can I have a microphone here? Okay, there's one here.
It doesn't work.
Yeah. All right, sorry about that.
Hi, Andrew. First of all, Chris, really good to hear you speak. And I think that hope that you speak of resonates a lot here. I guess my question, though, is that this is a DA stronghold, and so you really are preaching to the converted. I guess in an election like this, my question goes to how are you going to reach those areas that traditionally haven't voted for the DA?
So glad you asked that question, Andrew. All right, there's a gentleman here. Yep. Is that a Manchester City shirt? If it is, you can't answer the question.
Hi, my name is Jared. You guys partner with the private sector If we've got services that we can help contribute to improve infrastructure, how do we make contact with the DA to be able to do business with you to help improve services and whatnot?
All right, thank you. The gentleman here at the front. Bali, you're getting your steps in. All right, just here, this gentleman here, and then the last person at the back there.
Good evening. My question is around food security and land reform. Now, I'm not sure whether it's a question for Dean or for Chris, but you haven't touched at all on that, and I can tell you that land reform is failing in this province. Secondly, bengifuna ukwazi ukuthi nikankasa kanjani kuzo lezi indawo lesikade uzosho. Can you nomlungu loya wayibuza imibuzo ngamphendula naye futhi imibuzo yami. And then thirdly, just a perception, this is the first political meeting or party meeting that I've been to in many, many years. But one would seem that the DA continues to shoot themselves in their foot. And when I take the likes of Musi Maimane, Herman Mashaba, and these guys were very, very competent, good speakers, and yet they've now formed their own parties. You know, we don't know the reasons as the general public why they're not part of the DA. But you guys talk the same language. You want to save the country. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The lady at the back there. And then if anyone else would like to engage with Chris, we will, because I am also mindful of time. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. Thank you, Papas, for winning my heart. I got a problem with policing SAPS. Why the white people are not there? You go to any police station, you won't find anyone. And you find people sleeping there, don't even know whether that we have no van. Here's the stories. Where, guys, where are you? You know how things were happening before. If the police catches you, you know exactly you're going to be arrested. These days you get arrested, now, tomorrow you're on the street. I'm a journey, I'm sure, to save our country. Thank you.
Just your name, please. Just your name, please.
My name is Nelly.
Nelly. All right. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close it there, and then.
Nelly, I hope you haven't got a husband, because I don't want to win your heart if you've got a husband. Nelly, you know what? There are good policemen and women in KZN SAPS. Sorry, in SAPS. So I'm getting used to it now. KZN SAPS, it's got a ring to it. They are good in SAPS. Who are trying to do the right thing every day. But if you've got no vehicles and the jails don't work and the cells don't work and the lights don't work and your police station is bad and your bulletproof vest is expired 10 years ago and your gun doesn't shoot, then you really do get demotivated. But there are really good police people out there. But there are also really bad ones as well. There are some very bad ones who are in bed with the gangs and in bed with the crooks who protect politicians and protect bad people. And we need to root those people out. So it's not so much about police being black or white, it's about police being able to do their jobs and being held accountable when they don't. And that's what we want to do. We want to establish a police service that works for the people, regardless of where you are, whether you're rural or urban, black or white, that works for the people. And when they don't work, that we fire them and hire police people who really want to do the job. Mhlonishwa, asikhulumanga kakhulu ngendaba zomhlaba ngoba uma ubheka abantu abahleli lana banawo umhlaba. Kodwa ngiyawuthanda umbuzo wakho ngoba uhulumeni wanamhlanje uhlolekile ukubuyisela umhlaba. Uhlukile ngempela. Bathi bangohulumeni wabantu abamnyama kodwa abakwazi ukwenza izinto njenge-land reform ukubuyisela komhlaba. And ziningi indlela singalungisa ngayo amankantolo lawo we-land reform ahlulekile. Amankantolo avikela abantu ababhalisela ukuthatha umhlaba kodwa abavikeli umuntu owumhlaba vele mhlawumbe unawo futhi. Sinomhlaba kahulumeni omningi kabi kodwa bafuna ukudedela lo umhlaba ukunika abantu abafuna ukusebenza lo umhlaba. So ziningi indlela nje uDini ubekhuluma nge-VIP security. We spend more on VIP security in this country than we do on land reform. So you can tell where government's priorities are. Now land is an important topic in the country, but it's not land like Julius Malema talks about to get people emotional. It's land because people need to have title and they need to have wealth to pass on to people. They need to build their homes and their businesses. And there's so much land in our country available, whether it's state-owned land or people who are willing to give up land freely for empowerment purposes or transformation purposes. And in most cases, people choose money over land because money gives you, no one wants to go out and farm in the reality. No one wants to go and farm. People want a place where they can build their home that they can pass on to their children. And that's what we need, that's what you're talking about when you're talking about land reform. So singayilungisa into kodwa kuzodingakala ukuthi usinike amandla usiboleke lawo amandla. There was a question by Andrew and also Umhlonishwa. Umhlonishwa means honorable. So the question is, this is an obvious crowd for the DA to speak to preach the converted, as you say. But there's two important things to remember. The first thing is that there's a lot of small pop-up parties that come along. And we hear people on WhatsApp groups and social media and say, oh, well, we're not going to vote D anymore, we're going to vote for the purple cows or whoever it is, the fashion of the day. So it's important that we do speak to the converted, to remind people of the work that we do every single day. And the work that we will continue to do and our policies and our plans in government. So speaking to the converted is important. The other thing is this, is that just like we're having a meeting like this, where the majority of faces are as pale as mine, there are people working in rural areas. I am working in rural areas. If I go to Umlazi and hold a meeting there, the people in that room are a lot darker than me. And people will say, well, where's the white people? Well, the reality is that we're in Kloof. And the majority of the people who live here are white. And if I go to Umlazi, the majority of the people that live there are black. If I go to the rural area, it's the same. So we're working in all communities. And go through my Facebook page, go through the DA's, KZN's Facebook page, and you'll see we're actually the only political party. And I'm willing to bet that we're the only political party with reach. I'm not talking about one meeting every now and again that you boost on social media to make it look like you're big. That is in every single community, every single day. Today I was in Dalton Hospital, speaking to people there. And yesterday I was out in Tete, in Stanger, and then followed by a Belito meeting. So we're in every community working to do the same thing. Tell people what our plans are, build trust with different communities. And it's not a cheap exercise, I can tell you that. It requires a lot of resources and a lot of time. So we are everywhere. We are trying to be everywhere as much as we can. The other thing is this. The reality is that the DA doesn't get to 26% of the polling and doesn't even get to be the official opposition in the country without having a diverse voter base. As we stand right now, we are almost double the size of the EFF in terms of votes in this province amongst black voters. And that's a reality. You don't get to 26% without doing it. So don't let the people who hate the fact that we are diverse detract and say, well, we're the black people and we're the white people. No one else gets held to that standard. No one else gets held to that standard. You'll go to an ANC Congress, it's just black people. You go to a Freedom Front Congress, it's just white people. You go to a DA Congress, there's black, white, Indian, colored, young, old, rural, urban, rich, poor, educated, uneducated. It's everyone. And it is difficult. It is difficult because we have different cultures and different opinions and different histories. But what we're doing is the hard work of building the rainbow nation that we said we all wanted to achieve. I also want to then talk about, and Dean will touch on it as well, whether it's Herman Mashaba or Musi Maimane, The reality is that some of these people really hurt the organization because they didn't want to be team players. So Mashaba was spent more time with the EFF in the city of Johannesburg than he did with his own caucus. He was selling DA votes to the EFF. There was more land invasion because Mashaba just turned a blind eye. But when you take action against a rogue mayor, then you get called racist. Musa Maimane, in reality, took the DA backwards and was unwilling to accept responsibility. Now, he could have gone back to Parliament and just been a backbencher. But when you reach the peak of your career and you're not willing to accept other people to lead you, you leave and form your own party. And that's not just with the DA. There's many people, Ace Makashule, Jacob Zuma, all these other people who do the same thing. So it requires a young leader to be humble, to step back and say, you know what, let someone else lead at the time. And yes, the message is often similar to ours. I mean, beside the fact that Action SA, I heard them today on radio, wants to increase business taxes significantly to fund their programs. I didn't know that was in their manifesto. But the reality is that we are working on something, a pre-election agreement. It's called the Multi-Party Charter. And that's not a coalition. It's not a coalition where we get together and say, well, you know, Dean's going to be the president and Kaylee's going to be the deputy president. No. It's for us to agree on the program and plans of action that we need to put in place when we do get into government. Because if you're fighting about how to solve the problems and you're fighting about positions, then it's a recipe for disaster. So the Multi-Party Charter is a group of like-minded, not the same and not identical, like-minded parties who get together and say, how can we solve the problems of our future? But the reality is also that we are independent organizations, and we must convince you that we're the better people to vote for. And I think we've done that tonight. We are working in every single community. We have defended this country for the last 30 years, and when we were the PFP during the times of Jill. We are investing money in court cases and campaigning. We are in every single community. We learn from our mistakes and fix things. We are not about an individual, but about a collective. So we're doing these things every single day in all communities. And it's not about the individual. It's not about the individual. It's about all of us, the individual, right before an election. Dean.
Thanks, Chris. I don't want to take up too much more time, because elections is about contestation. It's the natural thing that happens in elections. We're contesting for votes. But I do think it is unfortunate that people go to the public and mislead them about either why they leave the DA or what their issue is with the DA. And there's a strange thing that's developed in South Africa where people believe that the DA is somehow a life sentence for black members. That if you are black, you must be in the DA for the rest of your life. We all have free agency, and we're all able to leave and join as we so wish. But if we choose to leave, and those two individuals, Herman and Musi, it was their choice to leave. No one forced them out. But to go and use the DA's name to campaign, I think is really unfortunate. Because what we don't need to be doing is splitting up the non-ANC vote. Let me tell you, I know Musi, I knew Musi well. He was my parliamentary leader and my party leader. He's a nice guy. But as Chris said, he made some bad decisions that cost the DA a lot of votes in the last election. And trust me, if we don't grow in KZN, Chris will be the first one to say, out you go. Because we have become immune to accountability in politics in this country. When the Speaker steals money as the former defense minister, there's no accountability. She avoids going to court. When politicians take their parties backwards, we expect there to also be no accountability, and it can't be like that. And last night there was a by-election in Limpopo, and I'd like to read you some comments, what a political party announced before the by-election. The national chair of Action SA said that they are emerging as a serious contender in Limpopo. Herman Mashaba said that everyone is wrong about Action SA. It's not an urban party, and we are a serious contender in this by-election, and we will show everyone. Do you know how many votes they got last night? 63. 63 votes. And you know what voters are actually saying? Voters are saying we actually want to get rid of the ANC. That's actually what they're saying. And so I'm asking all of you, that read beyond the headlines, read between the lines, and try and take out the noise that's going to take place over the next 34 days, because it's going to become very, very noisy in this election. And let's keep our focus on this man, Chris Pappas, and let's make sure we get him into office. But there's one more thing I want to bring to you before we move on. You know, elections aren't cheap. They're not run on goodwill and good wishes. It takes a lot of money. And unlike the ANC, we don't have the social development department running behind us with blankets and food parcels and so on and so forth. We rely on goodwill. You know, yesterday I was in Umlazi and we went to go and meet a group of community patrollers that have organized themselves in Umlazi because they stopped calling the police because they just don't come anymore. So they've actually taken it upon themselves to protect their own community, and they patrol 24 hours a day. It was the most inspiring thing that I've seen in a long time. And we went to go and support them, and we went to go and give them some reflective vests, some whistles, and some flashlights. Just to say, we're with you, we understand, and we really want you to succeed. And do you know what a difference that has made in that community? So in the WhatsApps and the messages and the pictures that I've seen from Umlazi, they have doubled the size of their patrol last night after everyone hearing that the DA was there and the DA had come to support them. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to go into those communities and we've got to get more votes. So I want to ask you as well, if you would consider supporting the DA financially, we've got 34 days to go. And if you can, and if you can consider it, it's the best investment that you can make, besides playing the lottery. It's the best investment that you can make, is in the DA and in Chris Pappas. Because I'd hate to be called back to this venue after the election and say, you promised us you were only one seat away from an election. And my response would be, if only we had a little bit more to get us over the line. On the 11th of May, the DA is hosting the single biggest event we've hosted in KwaZulu-Natal, with over 10,000 people at Curry's Fountain Stadium. 10,000 people. The DA has never done that before. Never, ever. And that is going to energize the electorate and show people that the DA means business, and we are marching forward to the 29th of May. So if you can, and if you are able to help us, why don't you come and chat to me afterwards, and I can let you know how you can do it. But I know that this man needs every bit of support that he needs to get to become the next Premier, with our votes, with our wallets, and with our prayers. So thank you very much. I'm going to hand over to Rona to close the evening.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Jared, Chris will talk to you after the meeting. And then before I get into the vote of things, I know everybody's rushing home for supper. Any residents who need help with their special votes, I'm sure you have Kaylee's number. Reach out to her. She'll contact you. She'll make contact with you to help you with your special votes. Or you can stay afterwards. We have all our councillors from our constituency. Then we have the paperwork here. We're more than happy to help you with that. And so on that note, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the West Durban constituency, I would like to thank our councillors, the West Durban councillors who work extremely hard to get you your services when your lights are out, your water's out, etc., etc. It's long hours and it's very tiring, but we'd like to thank them. We'd like to thank our provincial chair, Dean McPherson, and obviously the star of the show, Chris Pappas, for joining us tonight. And then you, who are going to go to the ballot boxes on the 29th of May with your +1, and you're going to bring it home for us. Amandla!
mics, please.
If it's not quicker to go this way, I think it might be.
Oh, sorry.